Welcome back to Delivering More, folks. I'm your host, Ben Alkire, and we have another fantastic episode for you this morning. We appreciate you consuming the content morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you can. As always, if you could hit that subscribe button down below, that's going to help us out more than you could ever know. We'll get right into it. I have a great guest by my side, co-founder Aaron Hoffman, back again. What's up, Aaron?
It's just great, man. I love doing these.
Yeah,
it's like the third one I've done this month.
Yeah, we're moving. We're moving. It's been a great time. I love having you up here.
Absolutely, man. I'm glad to be here.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And the premier guest, we'll call him, of the show today, we have President and CEO of Bao, Geoff Alexander. Geoff, out of Chicago, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. I hope I live up to the hype there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like hyping them up a little bit, getting these expectations real high, and then we just try to meet them. We try to get there.
I'll do my best not to disappoint here.
All right, yeah, we appreciate it, and I know you and Aaron have met at some conferences previously, but this is our first time meeting virtually. So I like to usually get started kind of with a little bit of background, just to let our viewership get to know you a little bit more, as well as myself. And kind of starting out, University of Wisconsin. You're a Badger. What was your time like up there? Are you a Russell Wilson guy? Are you a football guy? What was your time like at Wisconsin?
Yeah, well, when I went to Madison, I think in my 4 years we might have won one football game the entire time I was there. And of course, after I graduated is when they won the Rose Bowl and started being really good. So, I don't take the blame for how they performed, but sure, I like to root for the Badgers. My wife's a Buckeye, so there's a lot of and my daughter's Illinois, so
wow,
Big Ten.
A lot of smack being thrown between all the players. But I'm lucky. I got my son who's younger. He's rooting for the Badgers, so it becomes I get some backup there in the conversation.
Yeah, you got to convert him early.
That is my wife is not happy about it, but I got him wearing more Badger stuff than Buckeye stuff. Born and raised in New York City, went to Madison for college, moved to Chicago after college, and joined Lettuce Entertain You right out of college. Been with Lettuce for May will be 30 years this year. Worked on a number of different brands, and in 2009, I took over Bao, which had started in 2003. And over the next, 11 years or 12 years with Bao, we got private equity involved. We got college stadiums, or college campuses, sports stadiums, airports, music venues, and now we're in the dark kitchen business.
Yeah, it's honestly amazing what's transpired over the past few years. And I do want to circle back a little bit to your time in the restaurant industry, right? I mean, you've been in the industry, since as far as I could find on your timeline, kind of your gigs have always been in food and restaurant. What's kept you around? Was your first job in the food industry? Have you always been like that?
Yeah, I worked in a grocery store growing up from the age of about 13 through basically my sophomore year of college. And when I was in college, sophomores, junior, and senior years, I managed a restaurant bar. So I've just sort of been around food my whole life. I like to eat. I like the hospitality business. And, anyone who's in this industry knows once you get bitten by the bug, you can't get out. And I was very fortunate to join Lettuce. And what's been beautiful and great about that company is that we've created over 250 different concepts in the 52 years that Lettuce has been around. So in my 30 years, I built 12 different concepts. It's like a new job every 2 or 3 years. Bao, obviously, I've been with for 12 years, 13 years now, so that's the longest run. But it sort of keeps you invigorated and keeps you excited and gives you opportunity to try new food and work with new people and different styles of service by having that opportunity to move throughout the company.
Yeah, awesome. And we will kind of skip right ahead then to your time with Bao. We just had a tool on, Aaron referenced it a little while ago off camera, but just Bao as a whole, right? So you got like Kitchen United, Cloud Kitchens, all these other concepts in the ghost and dark kitchen space. What separates Bao as a whole? What's the difference in this company's nature?
So we're a 20-year-old brand. Right? A lot of stuff that's going in the virtual space doesn't have that kind of longevity. So that's what's really beautiful and great about us. Also, our product is manufactured for us. We have 5 different manufacturers around the country. We had one before COVID, and since COVID hit, we've expanded quite a bit with our manufacturing to keep up with our demand. So we're able to get consistent product. The same product that's in our restaurants that we serve is now being served by our partners around the country. We have full distribution and supply chain. And our model is really different than anyone else who's doing anything. We sell the product to an operator, and they turn around and finish it off, cook it, and then box it up and give it to third party. And we make our money inside the supply chain of the product going through. We're not signing any contracts with the third parties. We're not accessing bank accounts. We're not taking commissions or royalties. It's once that operator receives the product, the only thing they're paying for then is the third party commission.
Yeah, it sounds like the barriers are very low to work with your brand, which is obviously very advantageous for an operator.
Of course.
And to me, I would love to know. Well, first off, can you give just a very quick elevator pitch on how do you define a ghost kitchen or dark kitchen?
Sure. And just to go back to your point about it being advantageous for operators, we've done 700 locations since April of 2020 between the U.S. and Canada, and we have a nice, robust pipeline for this year already set up. So there's a lot of opportunity because of the ease of the program that we put together. So, I did not coin any of these phrases, and I think if you ask 10 different people, you might get 10 different answers. But the way I look at it is there's three types of kitchens. There's virtual, ghost, and dark. And to me, a virtual restaurant exists only on the third-party apps. There's no brick and mortar. There's no nothing. It has never existed prior to the ability to get it on a third-party app. There's ghost kitchens, which is when you have like the cloud kitchens, the kitchen united spaces, where there are these buildings that have separated themselves into multi-function, multi-use kitchens, where people can go in there and utilize the space. And they're ghosts because no one knows where they're located. They're ghosts because there's no real front and center brick and mortar billboard signage out in front. Then there's dark kitchens, which is what we consider ourselves. And for that, we had the idea that prior to COVID, we had this idea. We came up with it in the fall of 2019 and launched prior to COVID in January of 2020 that everybody has excess space and real entrepreneurs want more sales. And if you think about it, we could help take that area of the kitchen we consider dark, right, that's not being utilized or underutilized space, and turn the lights back on by having our product being made out of that part of the kitchen. And when COVID came and dining rooms shut down across the country, there was so much underutilized space in those kitchens. Literally parts of kitchens or prep kitchens, operators would come in and not even turn that area or that equipment on because they were shortening their menu or they didn't have the supply to use it or whatever it may be, or the staff to do it. And we believed and still believe that because of the simplicity of our product, and it's literally just steam. You boil water, you can make our food, that we can turn the lights back on in that dark kitchen.
It's like, why wouldn't it's like to me? It's like, why wouldn't you do that? But that was actually my follow-up question.
That's the same question I asked.
It's like, wait, man, I might start a kitchen. No, but that was actually my follow-up question. Was when did the paradigm shift for you? But it sounds like you were already forward-thinking and saw this as a problem before COVID. Because if I rewind a little bit, we did business a different way before COVID, right?
Of course.
We did in-person ride-alongs where drivers were training other drivers, and like that, obviously, you couldn't do that when COVID happened. But I remember taking deliveries from the first ghost kitchen I've ever heard of, where it was like an abandoned building where this guy just made burritos and tacos out of. We were taking catering from it, and that was the first real, ghost or virtual kitchen that I ever had to deal with. It's so cool to see how this has definitely snowballed into not just a little part of it. This is an industry now. So.
Yeah, so back in 2017, in June of 2017, private equity, Valor Equity Partners, took a majority stake to fund our growth. And within 60 days of that acquisition, we opened up Inside Cloud Kitchens in LA. So we were doing the virtual space, the ghost kitchen space in 2017, way before this was going on the scale it is today. When we were doing it, there was another kitchen down the hall, and there was a guy who served pizza out of it. And I remember this distinctly. He ran 4 pizza brands out of the same 200 square foot kitchen. He literally had 32 tablets hanging across his wall. And what he did was he created different dough. But aside from the dough, it was the same pepperoni, sausage, green pepper, sauce. Everything was identical except for the dough. And it was such a genius enlightenment for us that what a use of space. So then fast forward over the next couple of years, And we continued to grow with sports stadiums and airports, and distribution was going and ease of execution. And we started talking amongst ourselves and with the private equity about how do we want to continue to grow. And based on their network of restaurants and people that they work with and people they know, and based on Lettuce's network of restaurants that they have and people they knew, we had an aha moment and thought, why couldn't we just sell our product to these other restaurants and let them do it out their back door? And that was what started the entire conversation. Then that was probably late October, early November 2019. We took the next 8 to 10 weeks, built out online training materials, marketing plans, built furthered our relationships with the third-party DSPs, and then started working with the supply chain to really help ourselves in a good position. Launched one location January 2020, and then started talking to operators, and then boom, everybody shut down and could do delivery only, and the phone never stopped ringing.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like there's obviously a laundry list of reasons to explore this as an option if you're an operator out there. But it sounds too good to be true. There's got to be some downsides, right? Has there been any challenges or things that you've noticed that, like, hey, this is a hurdle, this is a barrier, right? Like, it's a challenge for us or an operator?
Yeah, I mean, there's challenges everywhere, right? But to go back to what you first said, what's the laundry list of reasons to do this? The reason to do this point blank, number one, is sales, right? And we got into this thinking that we could help, the mom and pop coffee shop that was only open for 2 day parts. We thought about the hotels that had a full room service staff and a whole kitchen, but nobody's in a hotel ordering room service, and the staff could be doing this. And we thought about ice cream stores that 4 months out of the year, especially here in Chicago, no one's ordering ice cream, and how we could help all these people. We thought of the catering company that has an entire kitchen, but has 1 day a week where they actually put a catering order out. And all of these different types of businesses could benefit from it. Now, when you ask about headaches, hurdles of what comes up, there's different hurdles for the operator versus for us. The number one hurdle and headache that we face is we're giving someone our brand, right? They could screw up all the food. They could piss off the customer. They could do so many things badly that then jeopardizes our overall reputation. That is not a small hurdle to overcome, and I don't think you can ever overcome that. But that gets into the right kind of training, the relationship with the operator, the follow-up on it, and so on and so forth. The second biggest hurdle is Bao doesn't exist. And I like to use Fargo, North Dakota, because I think it's the middle of nowhere. Everyone recognizes the name because of the TV show, but no one's ever been there. And we opened up in Fargo. But Fargo, North Dakota has never heard of Bao. No billboards, no storefront, no signage. So how do you get your name out there in front of people and build trust and commitment and loyalty? The only way you can do that is on the third-party app. And unfortunately, the only way to get noticed on a third-party app is by spending money on marketing dollars to be in front of anyone else's restaurant. We don't spend that money because we don't get any part of the sales. It's up to the operator to do that. Convincing an operator to spend money on a virtual brand versus on their own concept is a difficult uphill battle. The operators who are doing really well, and when we built this, our goal is for every one of our partners to do $2,000 a week in sales. That's $100,000 a year annual run rate. And we created a program that drops 40% to their bottom line so they can make $40K on $100K. We have operators who understand to spend money, you make money. And we have people who are doing $8,000 or $9,000 a week. So you can do the math on how much money they're bringing to the bottom line, and they keep investing and reinvesting in more marketing. And that is really the biggest hurdle to overcome because there's a direct ROI and evidence that it works, but convincing people to spend money is not the easiest thing.
Yeah, especially in times right now, right?
Yeah, and if you're an operator and you just went through COVID and got decimated, think about your appetite for risk. This is, it's a newer concept. This is a new, program, you should say, like a newer industry. So it's like, yeah, I could see how people wouldn't want to spend money, but like you said, the entrepreneurs out there that want to hustle and understand how economics work, it takes money to make money. So
right, but the other thing is, if I came to you and said you had to grow your business by 10% year over year, that is an unheard of growth spurt, right? The average restaurant, when they budget their sales, is 2 to 3% up year over year, and that's usually taken by price more than anything else. We can give you a 10% lift easily just by turning us on. If you grab $100,000, you're $1 million a year store. That's your 10% right there. So we can give you more value and more bang and more increase than your own restaurant just being open for another year. That's the difference by bringing on a virtual brand, whether it's Bao or another. We have a partner, and they have a number of locations. They're one of our largest partners, and they are running somewhere between 5 to 8 virtual restaurants per location. I mean, they're doing significant high 6-digit sales per location in virtual alone. I mean, the money that they're bringing in and the growth that they're experiencing is really a testament for what this new revenue stream can bring for operators.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, you're selling me on the concept. I think I think that's very easy to do.
Yeah.
You got to go sell everybody now for me.
I mean, Geoff, to be honest, like I'm going to switch the focus a little bit into more of like the catering specific. Because we predominantly do pre-scheduled catering. We the white glove delivery service, the full setup, all that good stuff. And to me, dark kitchens, virtual kitchens, ghost kitchens. It is the perfect setup for delivery drivers, particular, where it's predominantly it's not you don't dine in there, right? It's delivery out of there.
Yeah, pick
so
up
it's
and
like
delivery.
for a driver. If I'm a driver and I see a ghost kitchen location or virtual brand, I'm chomping at the bit to go take it. You got to think like that's all they do is delivery. So are you guys exploring catering? And if you are, like, what does that look like? What does the opportunity look like for the operator?
We have an operator who in the month of December did $10K just in catering with us. So we're working with a number of different catering partners around the country. The hard part is the equipment that we require to be used. Like our whole equipment package is a steamer and a rice cooker. Like that's really it. We have an item that needs a fryer, but it can go in a Turbo Chef. We have an item that goes on a flat top, but you can do it in a skillet on a burner, right? But it's basically steam and a rice cooker. The steamer only allows you to make so much product. And when you get a catering order for 100 people, now you got to figure out how to produce that amount of food. Luckily, our product holds well in Alto Sham or Hot Box, whatever it may be. So we know the tricks to make it work. We are looking for the right operators, our right partners, based on their reviews, their sales levels, their downtime, and so on, and then introducing them to these different catering companies that we're working with. Because the opportunity for catering, especially as some businesses are starting to come back, then of course you have Super Bowl that's coming up, which will be a big catering day. We see the opportunity here for real success, and the dollars that can be garnered from doing catering pre-opening, right? Catering orders might leave the building at 11 a.m. and you don't even open until 11:30. It's such a win for the operator, and our food, again, for us, we've been doing this for 20 years, and catering's been a big part of our business, so we get it.
Yeah, I mean, we always preach like the catering. There's really no reason for a restaurant unless you're doing fine dining, and even then you can make an argument like you should be in catering.
Yeah, I mean, his point he made right there towards the end is, again, if you're doing your catering deliveries before you even open to the public, it's like what reason do you have not to be doing
pay for
that?
your overhead?
Right.
I mean, you get
right. Well, again, our business that we put together is a 40% profit. This operator did $10,000 in the month of December on catering.
He's done $4K.
Made at least $4K.
Right.
Think about that. That's rent.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
That's your manager bonus for the year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is found money to support your business in ways that you were not planning on. And the catering is such an easy, low lift, right? It's just sitting there. And when you said, fine dining might have catering, hey, a fine dining restaurant could turn on a virtual brand and just offer catering of the virtual brand.
There you go.
Yeah, that's very true. I do want to walk back a little bit, and if we are being viewed or listened to by restaurants out there in the world,
I hope we are.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I hope as well. You mentioned obviously that the only maybe undermining aspect would be the fact that they misrepresent the brand and things like that. But how would a restaurant out there who's listening to this saying, "Oh, I can get a return of 10% or like the 40% return immediately. It's just a matter of me turning on this concept." How do they reach out to you? How do they sign up? Is there a vetting process in lieu of making sure they don't have a bad return on your brand?
Yeah, so it's a very good question. So at wowbao.com, there's a whole, we have a whole section on our website that talks about our dark kitchen program, and there's a form to fill out, and we respond to it, and we look at your website, we look at your Google reviews, we look at your ratings, we look at how you are doing. Do we think that, do you fit who we are trying to do, and do you care about what you're doing? The hard part becomes when you have a multi-unit operator who's at the top of the food chain, and that person's like, I want to see this in all my restaurants. That person and their brand could be spectacular. But at store level, the boots on the ground, they have to have buy-in, right? Because that manager on that shift is dealing with the host who didn't come in and the cook who's not there and down on supply chain and a very busy shift. And all of a sudden, from 5:30 to 8 o'clock, which is when everybody eats dinner, they're turning off the tablets because they're too busy or they don't want to deal with it. So it's not necessarily about the owner or the brand or the restaurant that we're working with. It's really about the boots on the ground and getting buy-in from that team. And that's something we try to help with, but that really comes from the leadership of whoever it is who's reaching out to us.
That makes sense. And you also said earlier, I'm going to keep hammering on the brand aspect. It's something we sell on big time. That catering, these are going to high value clients. It's not delivering a burrito to a college kid in a dorm room, right? That's what back in the OU days. Yeah. All right, so these are going to boardrooms, hospitals, doctors' offices. You got to look and feel like that brand and like you're delivering to a VIP customer. That's why you can't have drivers that misrepresent the brand. So I guess putting your driver hat on real quick, how important is the driver representation within catering?
Unfortunately, there's not a lot we can do with the driver. We can't vet the driver. We can't train the driver. There's not a lot we can do with the driver. I think that I could be wrong about this, and the model will probably change this coming year more than ever that we have in the past. I think there's been a lot of forgiveness to the driver, right? The consumer who's getting the product at the end is expecting good food, hot food, enjoyable food, the correct food, right? All bing, 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 bing. And they're rarely blaming the driver when something's wrong. They're blaming the brand. Now, it might be the driver's fault. It might be the restaurant's fault. There's plenty of places to put blame, but it's always at the restaurant level, not at the driver. There are definitely some partners that we work with, and there are some delivery companies that we work with that allow us to train them and talk to them, especially when you're doing catering on a large scale. They want to make sure they're doing extra steps to present it and do it right, and I think they reap the benefits of it. They get more orders. They get larger tips, so we love that. But at the scale that we're working with, it's very difficult to touch the drivers. We encourage our partners to be nice to the drivers, right? Because give them water, let them use the bathroom, and so on. Because if the driver likes delivering your food, the driver is going to talk to people about your food.
Absolutely.
I mean,
I've
seen it happen where they deliver somebody's food and say, "Hey, enjoy this tonight. And by the way, I deliver a lot for X. Have you ever ordered from them before?" Like they become salespeople for you. And by the way, if they smile and say thank you and are gracious when they deliver the food to the person, even if you screw up a little bit, they set the tone that it's a positive experience. And I think that gets missed a lot by the operators.
Absolutely.
It's more about throwing food to the driver, get out of my restaurant, and we like the operator who embraces and respects the driver.
Well, typically, at least in what we do, we're delivering tens of thousands of caterings, it feels like, a month, all right? And, we delivered, was it $90 million of food last year of catering food? So it's like for us, we've always said, like, our drivers are typically the first actual human interaction these customers are having, right? Because they're ordering online, they're tracking a driver on an app. So like our drivers, we preach to them and we vet them accordingly. Like, when you're showing up to deliver to X, Y, and Z, you're a representation of Deliver That, but also the brand you're delivering for. And to get more, like you said, to get more deliveries, to get better tips, to get compensated better, you got to up your service to this, this standard. You got to show up in a polo and slacks. You can't show up in sweatpants, a T-shirt, and flip-flops to take a catering. I mean,
realistically, at times they almost are the only actual touch point with that customer interaction.
Oh yeah, so absolutely.
It's a huge point.
They're ordering online. Like I said, they're not talking to anybody. So it's like the driver. That's the more often than not, that's the first touch point that these humans get to interact together with your brand.
It's the only touch point.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
First, it's the only one. Now we launched almost a year ago now with the first rewards program in the virtual space where every time you order from wowbow.com, you get $1 for every point for every dollar you spend, and after 100 points, you get $7, right? So, and the reason why we did that is try to create a community where there's dialogue and connection with the consumer, because very much to the point you're making, the entire connection is from a driver who doesn't work for our business, doesn't work for our operators delivering our business. So we tried to open the lines of communication and try to grow that by creating this rewards program. I wish we could have every driver go through some kind of training and have every driver do something. At the end of the day, we hope the driver's being polite and we hope the consumer's being polite to the driver.
That's actually that's a problem we're trying to solve right now, is to make sure every delivery, although it's like you said, it's very challenging with contracted drivers, right? They're not our employees. So that is very, very challenging, but that's legitimately the problem we're looking to solve is, hey, how can we get not only the best coverage out there, across all the states here but it's the quality. Catering is quality, man. Food on time, presentable, hot, the integrity of the food.
Well, the business has gotten so large now, what the third parties are doing, they're asking you how much you want to tip before the food even comes to you. And do you want to pay extra for a faster delivery? And if you don't tip or tip enough, your order sits at the restaurant now longer, because the driver would rather pick up food that they're getting a tip on or getting a larger tip on. I mean, it's becoming, very difficult from a consumer standpoint to get what they want when they want, whereas a year ago, it was whatever you wanted, whenever you wanted.
Yeah.
Now you're almost paying to play on both ends.
Yeah.
For sure. I do want to go back. You mentioned kind of scale a couple minutes ago, and I just want to read a quick excerpt from a QSR article from February 2021 with Sam. He said, CEO Geoff Alexander says there could be as many as 500 locations serving Wow Bao for delivery by next year. Since then, you've obviously been wildly successful, blown that number out of the water at this point, basically. What were you guys able to find over that 2-year COVID period that was able to drive your business forward and get to the scalability that you guys are at now?
For us, it's really been about finding the right partners. And we've been very fortunate to find enterprise partners that have multiple restaurants. They see the value. And like I said before, if you have one restaurant, you do $100K in sales, $40,000 in profit. If you have 10 restaurants, you just made $500,000. 20 restaurants, you're making $1 million. So when we find these operators who have multi-unit and we can get them to come on board with us, the dollars become really large for them and the opportunity comes very well for us. The other thing that we've just been very good at is we've really taken it to heart. We have account managers who, every one of our locations is assigned to an account manager where they actually have somebody they can talk to. We have an entire process for onboarding. We have a process for offboarding. We have processes in place. We have simplicity. We have a brand that is recognizable, a brand that has a story. If I just made up Jeff's Tacos tomorrow, there's no soul to that brand, right? There's no story to that brand. There's nothing to connect to. But for us, for Wow Bao, you can Google us, you can social us, you can learn about us. I mean, we exist. And every day we're finding other avenues. We're CPG in grocery stores. We're in sushi counters. We're in airports. We're trying to make this brand everywhere, which creates trust and belief in the brand, which allows it to grow at the rate it's doing. A lot of these other people who are doing multi-brands or trying to do multi-virtual restaurants, they're either missing on the soul or they're missing on the story, or, they don't have the reputation in the same way. And that's always been our leg up. And I'm very proud of that. And I'm very proud of the team. I mean, this is not Geoff Alexander sitting here on your podcast, owning everything that we've done. There is a team of people that when we hit COVID, I think our entire office was about 11 people. And today we sit at 26. So in the last 2.5 years, we've almost tripled the size of our office because of the growth that we've had to make sure that we are taking care of our partners. We've continued to build our relationship with our third parties, understand digital marketing to make sure that we're getting the best sales that we can get for every one of our locations. Every day we're learning and trying to be better.
It sounds so. Even though you guys are at scale, people are dealing with real humans at Wow Bao, which is
100%.
Which is what you want.
Unbelievable.
The number one word for us for 2023 is relationships. We have spent the last 2 years growing at such an unbelievable rate, and we've always had account managers dealing with it, but we've doubled our number of account managers to actually be more than, is there anything you need from us? Now it's sharing operational metrics. Now it's sharing downtime. It's sharing learnings from other people. We have a newsletter that we send to all of our operators once a month about opportunities they can get involved in, new items that we're launching, things that we're seeing or we're hearing, commonalities between operators. Like, we are doing everything we can to embrace and make this a large community that is all about our brand and not about a bunch of different operators.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. And kind of speaking to things that are continuing to move your brand forward. Obviously, over the past year or so, something that's been talked about exponentially has been automations, POS systems, things like that. Obviously, with the Wow Bao concept, where you're not really inside of the restaurant unless they utilize your brand. Are you guys finding ways to utilize things like that within your concept?
We are evolving every day, and what's important is you have to, like, one thing. I don't know if this is going to answer your question or not, but one thing we've learned is a lot of our operators all have different equipment.
Right.
This person has a steamer, this person is a turbo chef, this person. And what's been great for us is we are finding different ways to cook our food. Now, the beauty of that is when we want to go into an airport space and they don't have a hood and they can't do X, Y, and Z. Well, now we know we can use A, B, and C equipment because it's been tested by another operator. So there's all these learnings that are going, that we are giving to the operator ways to grow sales, ways for them to make more money, ways for them to stay in business. And in return, we're getting national recognition, national presence, new ways of doing business, growth on scales we weren't expecting. I mean, there's this win across the board on both sides.
Yeah. Let's put your operator hat on real quick. We're going to talk about more industry specific things now. I think what Ben was trying to get at here was that, there's been so much innovation in the restaurant space. It feels like over the last 5, maybe even 10 years. And like before, right, it was run like the 1990s for like a 20, 30 year period, right? I was actually born in 94, so I can't even use that reference. But so like, are there
Wisconsin won the Rose Bowl in '94?
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, do you see like any trends or like any, down the pipeline, like, AI or, certain tech stacks that are like you're seeing coming down the pipeline, sort of like you foresaw, the virtual, the dark kitchen concept before COVID?
Yeah. So we've always been a forefront of technology. We were using self-ordering kiosks back in 2010.
Wow.
We were using mobile gift cards and mobile loyalty in 2011.
So
we had an app in the App Store in 2010 when there were only 300,000 apps at the time. We were using desktop ordering, which sounds like stupid, right? But we were doing that in 2010 because we were doing bicycle delivery back in the day. And I remember growing up in New York City, when you didn't like someone, you would order pizza, send them to their house, and the guy would show up with 10 pizzas, and you have to pay the driver. And I was like, no one's going to do that with my food, and that's why we started doing desktop ordering. I wanted to get the money ahead of time. So we've always been at the forefront of technology, and we like to stay on the pulse of it. Look, AI is going to be incredible. AI for drive-thrus is going to be incredible. AI, I mean, there's a lot of restaurants you call right now to make a reservation. You're actually talking to a computer. You don't even know you're not talking to a person. So it's only going to grow. It's going to grow at an exponential rate. The technology that we've seen in the last 18 months has gone faster than, as you said, the last 20 or 30 years. And I think it's going to continue to go. I don't know about all the technology for the virtual space. Obviously, the delivery robots that are out there that Sodexo uses, and you've seen, the autonomous drivers that they're talking about coming, all that will go into our space. But you're ordering from an app right now.
Yeah.
The only part of it that's not being being computerized, right, is either the delivery aspect of it or the production of the food. Robots are obviously becoming more and more prevalent, right? There's Flippy, who does the burgers, Chippy, who does the chips for Chipotle, right? There's the robots doing coffee. There's the pizza robots. I mean, more and more, I don't know how cost effective it is and how easy it is for operators to get in, how much work you have to do behind the scenes to your kitchen to do. But there's also everyday small advancements in technology that restaurants are using. Like, a lot of restaurants started the second make line, right, where they have their front counter where you're ordering food from and it's being made, and they created a whole second line in the back of the house that's more run on KDS systems for the kitchen display and more on portion control, whatever it may be, that's done from a technology standpoint to service the delivery aspect or the mobile ordering consumer. So I think it's very cool what's coming. I don't have the crystal ball as exactly what's going to be, because if I did, I would have won the $1.4 billion last week and wouldn't be doing this anymore.
Man.
But I'm so encouraged by the technology based on what we've seen the last 18 months. You're going to see a lot more on customer recognition, customer loyalty, customer communication, because as we become more digitized, we're losing the hospitality. I tried to coin a phrase a few years back. We were in 2017, we opened up the first fully automated front of the house restaurant. We had restaurants that had, you'd order off a kiosk or your phone, and it was a wall of LED cubbies that were personalized with graphics and animation. And when we made the food, we put in the cubby, and then your screen would come up and tell you what cubby was yours. You double tap, door opens, take your food. And at the time, I was talking about hospitechality, because we have hospitality in our business and we're going technology. And what we were focused on is how do we marry hospitality and technology? And I think in the last 18 months, it's been very tech forward. I don't think it's been very hospitality forward. And I think that a lot of people right now, Thanks, Ovation, there are these companies out there that are so focused on communicating on your behalf to the guest to make the experience better and to get feedback, that you're going to see a lot more, not necessarily more companies doing it, but more growth in that segment, I believe, because we need to get back to our roots, which is connecting with people. And that's what makes hospitality so great. Look, food and social go together, right? God forbid something bad happens in your life, you need food, right? Your boyfriend bakes up with you, eat a whole carton of chocolate ice cream, is the old fable, right? Someone has something goes wrong, you bring food to their house. You want to celebrate, you celebrate around food. Birthdays, anniversaries, someone graduating. Food is so important to what we do. As long as we stay in this digital side, we lost that human connection. We lost that celebration. We lost that hospitality that we can bring to that experience. And I think technology needs to find a way to bring that back in.
Yeah, I think that's a no-brainer.
I think you heard it here first.
Hospitechality.
Hospitechality.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to start saying that now because
hashtag hospitechality.
Put it on the store, Jim. No, but no, that's so spot on, because you're right. Everyone's so laser focused on automating less humans, but you're losing the whole part of a lot of the reasons why people actually even dine out in the first place, and that is the hospitality, right? You want to feel like you're important. You want to be served.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I completely agree with you that you know, you got to bring the hospitality back, right? It's not just about dollars and cents, you know, even though it might boil down to that at some point. Yeah. But yeah, you need to bring the hospitality back.
Yeah, but what's interesting is everybody, the generation that's coming up especially, they don't know hospitality, right? This generation, you can't get them off their phone when you're having meals with them. But what happens is we're okay without hospitality at the moment because we want speed. We want no interruption. We want what we want when we want it.
Yeah, instant gratification.
When we want hospitality is when we need something, right? When there's a problem or you need to connect with somebody or you need to fix something or when you're lonely and you just want to connect. And as we continue down this path of less interaction, those are when the times come when you actually there's a cause to need interaction. And it's an interesting balance how we went from one extreme of no technology in the restaurant industry, right? Because we're all dinosaurs, we don't have the right POS and everything, to now we're like full-blown tech. How much more tech can I put in my restaurant? And now we need to find the way to get back into the middle. And we're definitely not there at all. We're nowhere near the middle, but we need to get back.
Just another opportunity for other startups, other companies to take advantage. Like he's saying, he's talking about a problem.
Fix the problem.
Not even a problem; it's an opportunity, right? It's an opportunity to solve.
Yeah, I mean, look at Chili's, right? They had Rita, the robot,
right,
that would walk from the kitchen to your table to say happy birthday to you, or would help you walk from the host stand to your table. But you know, people thought it was very cool. But what happens when you go with Rita and you say, I want to sit in the booth instead of the table? I don't know if Rita fully understands you, and I know they strapped Rita. But it just technology only takes you so far.
Yep, exactly true. Well, that was honestly such a sound answer to that very long-winded question. But I think we're coming up on time. So I have one last question for you. I think kind of wrap it up here. All right, it's 2025, 2030, whatever, a couple years in the future, right? Wow Bao is already on this crusade to basically be, it sounds to me like be everywhere, right? Just be able to serve any, if someone wants a Bao bun, they can get it through Wow Bao in some fashion or other. What does Wow Bao look like in basically in any other of your other concepts, like what is the ultimate goal to get at by like 2025, 2030? I know it's a big stretch, but where do you guys want to be at?
You know, my goal for Wow Bao. So we didn't create Bao, right? Bao's been around for thousands of years in China, but we have helped make it Americanized. We've helped bring it into everyday life, but nowhere at the scale that it can become an everyday item. And there are plenty of people who've never heard of a bao. By the way, for any of the listeners out there who don't know what bao is, it's a soft, sweet dough about the size of your fist with meat and vegetables inside.
It's so good.
Fully steamed and delicious.
It's so good.
And what we want is we want it to be a recognizable item. That is what we are trying to do. We're trying to make bao a household staple name, right? Like the chicken nugget. And if you think back 30 years ago, the chicken nugget was not everywhere. Now you can't go anywhere without seeing a chicken nugget.
Right.
That's what I want to do with bao. You know, how many units we have or, you know, where we're located, whatever it may be, that's irrelevant because wherever we are, I'm not going to be happy with it and it won't be enough. But what I want is I want bao to be everywhere and I want people to be craving that item. That to me is how we know that we're getting to the right place.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's unbelievable sentiment too. To not really care about the numbers, locations, total guest served.
It's a byproduct.
Yeah,
what he's saying, if it's an everyday item, then the number it's a byproduct. At that
just
point,
ingrain it into the culture. Basically, is what we're going.
Yeah,
for.
I want you to be able to have dinner tonight, and your roommate, your child, your spouse say to you, "I think we should have bao." Right? Like we say we want to have pizza or Mom, can we go get McDonald's? Like I want it to be, I want bao.
I want bao.
I love it, man.
Yeah, I think that might be the operator marketing hashtag right there. I want bao. That's a great campaign. I feel like. Yeah, I think you just struck a nerve there for me. We can close it out here. I just want to always kind of end the conference scene this year. Will you be out there? Where can people find you on social media, Wow Bao, things like that?
Yeah, at Wow Bao, we're on all the platforms for it. I'll be on the conference circuit. I'm going to quite a few of them this year. It's important to connect with people, right? And it's important to share the story, and that's what I like to continue to do. I plan to see Atul at every conference, and I expect you guys to be calling him after this and tell him that I was a better guest than he was, and I plan to tell him that, just so you know.
He's great.
But I hope 2023 is a great one for you and your listeners, and I especially hope it's a great one for Wow Bao.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And just so you are like we are getting our audience is primarily drivers, but there are a lot more restaurant operators tuning in now that we're bringing on experts like yourself and a tool that can really drive value on that area of the food service industry. So
okay, well if your main listener core is drivers, please be careful when you're driving, be safe when you're driving, and smile. Exactly. And encourage people to order Wow Bao.
Yeah.
Can do. Well, we can get that message out there, and I think you closed out there kind of talking about continuing to build the relationships, right?
I think tonight for dinner, I'm going to get a bao. I'm going to get bao.
I want bao.
Yeah, I want bao.
I want bao. I'm sold on the campaign. I'll help you set it up marketing wise if you need to get it out there. I'm down all day.
You're in charge.
All right, hey.
My people will call your people.
Sounds good. You got my email. We can hand out phone numbers after this all day. No problem. Cool. All right, Geoff. Well, I appreciate your time today. Thank you so much again for joining us all the way out from Chicago, and I'm sure we'll see you on the conference scene and talk to you very soon.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll see you, Geoff.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, we'll see you.
Appreciate it.
Cool.